And we're back with another episode of the PCC Multiverse. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source, and also as well Humanica Media. We're here every Friday night on the PCC Multiverse, right here on the Podcast Radio Network on Friday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. And if you can't catch us there for some reason, and that's okay if you can, we're available to be downloaded at any time at your leisure on a number of different outlets, including the ESO Network, the Tangible Network, the Gunna Geek Network, Stitcher, iTunes, Podcast.com, Mixcloud, Google Play, and Podcast. Did I mention Podcast.com? Yes, I think I did. Stitcher, Google Play. There you go. Stitcher, Google Play. Oh, tune in. Hey, there you go. Tune in as well. So it's another great episode we have for you lined up today. I'm here with my main man. He's the best guy I know in charge of doing all the great stuff that he does with Humanica Media. He's the man, the myth, the legend behind Humanica Media. It's Josh Peterson. How are you, my friend?
Good, man. So, question: when you that spiel right there, is that injected into your subconscious? So when people ask you about this in public, do you put on your announcer voice and go, "And you can catch us on iTunes, Mixcloud, Podcast.com"?
Well, sometimes I can really roll it off right there. We got iTunes, Mixcloud, TuneIn, Podcast.com.
It sounds so natural though, like you're not thinking about it, like it just flows out.
After a while, if you say something enough times, you can at least, I at least get 8 out of 9 like right away. It's always that 9th one that seems to trouble you. Sometimes it's TuneIn, sometimes it's Mixcloud. It just escapes me. But we are available again on the ESO Network, the Tangible Network, the Gunna Geek Network, iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, Podcast.com, Google Play, and also as well Mixcloud. So that's a great thing indeed. We truly appreciate listening to us on any one of those broadcasts. And we always try to sneak in a bonus episode of, whatever podcast that we have available to us within the realm of the pop culture cosmos and Humanica Media as a little bonus for downloading our shows. So it's, again, like I said, it's another great podcast we have for you today. We've got the guys from the Wrestling Podcast About Nothing coming up in a little bit as far as telling us about what's going on with them. Mike Crockett and the Kingpin, Brian Malonis, will be joining us, telling us what's going on up in their world as far as their show. Also as well, Brian Malonis recently got into the Ring of Honor and seeing how well he's doing there. We check in with that. Then also later on in the hour, we talk about all of our thoughts on the upcoming WrestleMania 33 from Orlando. We also have an interview from CES with EchoBox. I just did a review on one of their great products, the Traveler, that is available on podcast. That's available on popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. That's popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. But there's a lot of other great things that are there available, including reviews that you've done, my friend, right there. What can they check out for what you've been doing on popculturecosmos.wordpress.com and also Humanica Media?
You check out my reviews on. I just put a review up for 88 Heroes, a 2D platformer. It's an indie game, which is pretty fun, kind of crazy. If you like Borderlands, you should definitely check it out. So you can check out my article on Colin Moriarty and the whole tweet thing that got him in trouble, and also the latest episode of What About This is now up on podcast.com, Podbean, iTunes, and you can catch it on Pop Culture Cosmos Facebook page, Humanica Media Facebook page, YouTube, just all over the place. So give it a listen, and any feedback you have, I'm happy to listen or read, however you want to send that to me.
By telegraph, maybe?
I prefer Morse code, but whatever works.
Fair enough, indeed. So it's another great podcast, like I said, we have lined up for you. But first, I want to get to one of the main topics going on in the universe of pop culture, and that's Spider-Man Homecoming, the upcoming big movie that's coming out from both Marvel and Sony Pictures. They're finally, the love fest is beginning to materialize, and they're actually working together cohesively on this next upcoming project. Recent comments that were made by one of the producers who actually used to be in charge of Sony left us a little bit kind of disappointed for the future as far as Spider-Man hanging out in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It was indicated that after what goes on in the Avengers, Infinity War, Avengers, the sequel to that as well, and then also the next Spider-Man movie that comes out after Homecoming, say roughly 2019 or so, it looks like Spider-Man may most likely have an exit from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. First of all, your thoughts on that, Josh? And do you think really that's a good decision that Sony would make as far as branching off? Hey, we're going to get some credit dealing with the Infinity Wars. That's awesome. That's great. We're going to be getting all this love that people will be enjoying Spider-Man again. And then we're going to go back and branch off on our own, along with the aforementioned that we talked about on a previous episode with the Venom movie, and then also some other stuff going on as well within the Spider-Man universe.
First off, let me say that the Black Cat and Silver Sable movie spinoff, just an absolutely ridiculous idea. Nobody really knows enough about
That's what I wanted to talk to you about. Yeah, did you?
Yeah, because I read that article and we were recording the other night, but nobody really knows those characters well enough to say, oh yeah, I'd like to see a movie about them. I guess it's kind of the same thing with Venom. Like the only reason a lot of people know who he is just because he's so prominent in the the Tobey Maguire trilogy and the Saturday morning cartoon Venom. But as far Sony has this history of being stupid with their properties, and how many times are they going to disappoint us with Spider-Man? Because you're gonna put him in all these scenarios, like you have the 2 solo Spider-Man movies, sorry, my dogs are barking, and you have the 2 Avenger films, and then after that, what are they planning on doing? Because I guarantee you, if they decide whatever happens, like if they reboot it, or because the bar is already going to be topped with Avengers, so you're not going to be able if Sony decides to depart the MCU after that. I have this strange suspicion that audience numbers, the box office numbers, are going to start dropping, and they're going to go back to doing really stupid things with the movie.
I question it as well. I think they should stay within the MCU and always have that maybe as almost kind of like a crutch per se, because as long as Marvel would be cool with it, I would want to be hanging out in that universe just to try and get those good vibes, because Marvel has really done well with its cinematic universe overall over the past 10 years. And I just don't see the reason why you would want to discontinue that connection after, okay, you brought us up. That's great. That's awesome. Now I want to go back out on my own and see if I can do everything well from here. When you and I both know that there's, although you like the Spider-Man films of the recent past a little bit more than most people did, it looks like that I think the best advice would be going forward to try and always have that association with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and always have at least a foothold in there, at least a little bit to some extent, just to make sure to remind people who watch the Marvel Cinematic films that, hey, Spider-Man's still here, still around, still doing well, still fighting crime, still battling with all the Avengers, and still very much part of the Marvel universe. And I think people get that association and embrace it more when Spider-Man does his own separate films, like you will see with Spider-Man Homecoming. I really think it will do better than the Amazing Spider-Man 1 or 2. And I think it's because of the fact that he has that association with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. What are your thoughts out there as far as Spider-Man maybe, taking a leave after a short stay within the Marvel Cinematic Universe? You think it's a good move? Do you think it's a bad move? And also about the other projects that Sony's thinking of within the Spider-Man realm. Share us your thoughts by sending us an email, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com, or through Facebook at Humanican Media and Pop Culture Cosmos, or sending us a lovely message on Twitter at Pop Culture Cosmo and at Humanican Media. Coming up a little bit later in the show, we're going to be talking about our picks for the biggest blockbuster of the year, and also a dark horse, which maybe you didn't think of right off the bat, but who has, for whatever reason, a great chance to become the biggest movie of the year. We're going to share our thoughts on our picks on that later in the show. Plus, also as well, we're going to be talking about Injustice: Gods Among Us #2. It's going to be hitting very soon. The characters have been introduced for both the good guys and bad guys. And we're going to see how that helps the fighting genre, the fighting game genre, as far as this is something that could be a really, really big game indeed, or will it fall into somewhat of a niche concept, and as far as a niche novelty crowd, or will it go and actually gain a larger following than even the first Injustice to come out? We're going to share our thoughts on Injustice: Gods Among Us #2 when a little bit later in the show as well. We truly appreciate you listening. And then we're also coming up, we also have right now, we have another song from Moy Navarro. Just actually, Josh, do you have any thoughts on as far as, let us know exactly out there, a little bit more about Moy Navarro?
Yeah, he's he's a musician, but yeah, he started his career a while back, and he's looking to get back into recording. He's got a really great voice. He's got he's got that kind of grungy style in his music, and he's, if you guys listen to it tonight and you like it, check out his website. You can pick up merchandise. Give him some support. Obviously, the more people who listen, the more inclined he'll be to keep making music. And he's actually in the process of writing something new right now. So just give it a listen, and send us some feedback, or send him some feedback. We'd love to hear it.
So it's going to be a great show for us tonight, and we truly appreciate you joining us. And like Josh said, here he is right now. It is Moy Navarro. We've been playing his music for the past couple weeks, and again, this is another great hit that we have right here from Moy Navarro. It's "I Won't Give Up," right here on the PCC Multiverse. And we're back with the PCC Multiverse. My name is Gerald Glass from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate you listening out there every Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, right here on the Podcast Radio Network. If you also get a chance, our #1 show on the Podcast Radio Network is our show, the Pop Culture Cosmos show, on Monday nights, 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific. So we truly, hopefully, you will catch that. We hope very much that you catch that show as well. We truly enjoy doing both shows for you. And if you get a chance, and if you want to download the show, fear not. We were on all those channels that I talked about earlier: iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, podcast.com, TuneIn, and also as well the ESO Network, the Tangibound Network, the Gonna Geek Network, and Mixcloud as well. So, Josh, I want to ask you if you have seen the footage. Well, I know there's been a bunch of trailers that have come out already, as far as a lot of character bios, as far as character trailers coming out for the game Injustice: Gods Among Us #2. So what are your thoughts right now on it? And does it really does it really look like it can invigorate the fighting game genre?
It looks good. I gotta be honest, I'm not very good at this type of fighting games.
This type of association might get a lot of people like you and I that are casual players into it, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because I played, what was the last one that they had? Didn't they have a DC versus Mortal Kombat game? Was that?
Yes, and then they did Injustice: Gods Among Us.
Okay, yes, yeah. I played that, and I played the first Injustice, and there were to me it was the cinematics that made you want to play the game, and then I ended up getting the game, and I was colossally bad at it, but. Yeah, I think that it has the potential. It has, right now is a great time to be releasing a game like that, just because the DC universe is kicking off, and people are interested in these characters. So, assuming that I would like to see a game like that where they approach it from a story perspective. It's not just like two people jumping in the ring to fight each other.
And I do like the cinematics, especially once they get a little bit different with the specials and whatnot. From what I've seen already, it just really looks like a very polished game as far as overall the fighting experience seems to be fun and entertaining. And if it is approachable for casual audiences and not something that people can easily get dissuaded by because they'll be on a losing streak or whatnot, if they could still find it fun competing with all the other arch nemesis and different individuals in both the DC universe that are both good and bad, that'd be awesome indeed. But before we head on out to a break, I wanted to ask you real quick, which character would you play within the DC universe if it comes to light in Injustice: Gods Among Us 2?
Ooh, I would play as John Constantine. I just something about him. Like I feel like he would make, obviously he couldn't stand up against like Superman or somebody, but like imagine like if he used his dark magic he could probably do some pretty cool things, like both visually and in the game itself. So yeah, that's who I'd pick. Who would you pick?
Well, as a homage to the Justice League cartoons I used to watch as a kid, I would probably say the lesser known character. I know he was actually, I believe, introduced in the last Gods Among Us, but
Jonah Hex?
no. That movie spoiled it for me.
Did you ever watch the old Justice League cartoons?
Yes, I did.
When they're on. Do you remember how Jonah Hex used to just randomly ride his horse across the screen, just out in the middle of nowhere? Like, what is a horse doing in a space station? Like, I just don't. How does? All right, sorry. Continue.
No, it's just that same thing. I know Rob McCallum loves his He-Man, and as someone who watched many He-Mans when I was a younger individual, I remember that same animation that they used to do across that. And I always kid Rob whenever I talk about He-Man and whatnot. The same thing. Why is there a horse running across a space station? But I would probably have to say, going back in time to that realm, I'd probably say Solomon Grundy, because Solomon Grundy is going to get the Super Friends. So as far as using my little bit of a voice there, so because that's
no,
all.
I thought that you were Solomon Grundy for a moment. I was just like Gerald. You guys see Gerald? Gerald, I just see Solomon Grundy right here.
Oh, get the Super Friends. So indeed, so that's who I would pick. Who would you pick as a character? Who are you going to play as a character when it comes out in Injustice: Gods Among Us 2? I think the game looks really fun, and I think it really bodes well for the fighting game genre in the future. And I think it, with the right support, can really prove to be a really strong anchor for the fighting game industry going forward. What are your thoughts out there, everyone, on Injustice: Gods Among Us 2? Share us your thoughts, and also who would you like to play as, or who are you getting ready to play as in Injustice: Gods Among Us 2? We'd love to hear what character you're going to play, because obviously if we play you on online and while we're playing the game, you're going to probably pound us like you're Solomon Grundy. So I'll tell you what, right now, just send us a line if you want. Let us know your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com, also Humanican Media, and Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook and Twitter. So when we come back later in the show, we're also going to be talking about our picks for the blockbuster of the year, and then also a dark horse, which may not be on everybody's minds as far as what could be the biggest movie of the year. We'll be sharing our thoughts on that as we close out the show. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos. This is the PCC Multiverse. This is the PC. Oh. And we're back with the PCC Multiverse. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source, along with my good friend, the man, the myth, the legend, Josh Peterson from Humanican Media. Josh, before we head on out today, I want to make sure we give you plenty of time for some props for Humanican Media. What's going on with Ghost Toasters and all the great stuff that's going on with Humanican Media?
Sorry. Yeah. The sorry, Ghost Toasters. Yeah, we're in the process of finishing the next episode right now, and it's we sat down, had a little discussion, the team and I, and we trying to figure out what the future of Ghost Toasters holds, and we've got some exciting ideas planned. So now it's just taking the time to execute it. But you can check out the first part of episode 3 online right now on YouTube and Humanica Media's Facebook page. And we have a new lineup of shows coming at you here soon. So expect some news on April 10th on that and what else is to come.
Fair enough, indeed. So there's still a lot of way to go as far as the 2017 movie seasons, and right now we're just starting to get in the thick of it. Beauty and the Beast has really taken a hold of audiences. Logan's performed very well. Get Out, Switch. Uh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Get Out has done very well as well. Split has done very well indeed. All those movies have done very strongly, with Beauty and the Beast reigning supreme so far. Josh, tell me, I've given you some time to think about it now. Let me know your thoughts on the what will end up being your choice for the biggest movie of the year, and then also what will be maybe a dark horse you think might really prove to be very strong contender for that spot.
Yeah, so I think that Beauty and the Beast was pretty great. I mean, that might be weird, but I really liked it. I think that Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets is going to be the dark horse. So I think that it looks odd, but I think people are gonna watch it and they're gonna like it because I like The Fifth Element, and The Fifth Element became like it took some years for it to happen, but it slowly became a classic, and I think that that's what's going to happen with this
And
movie.
Luc
And
Besson, director of The Fifth Element, is directing this film as well.
correct, yeah, yep. And as far as movie of the year goes, there's a lot still coming out. I'm hoping it'll be The Dark Tower because I'm actually really excited about that movie. But we'll have to see. Maybe around June I'll be able to give you a better answer there.
Well, for me, the Beauty of the Beast actually is a really solid choice because I think it'll probably end up right around a billion two, maybe a 1.1, 1.2, maybe even 1.3. And The Last Jedi, when it comes out by the end of this year, it may not. It'll still be going strong, and it'll probably be well in the 700 million dollar range by the end of the year. But going forward, I think the Last Jedi will actually garner the top spot, but it won't make the top spot until well into 2018. So with staying within the calendar year, I think the top spot is going to go to. I'm gonna say the Fate of the Furious. I'm gonna say the Fate of the Furious. I think if it does anything near what the predecessor did, then you're still talking 1.2 billion because I think the previous movie did a little bit more than that. So I think that's a very strong contender. My dark horse is something that I don't know if you've got a chance to see the footage of, but that came out recently. But War of the Planet of the Apes, something that I really have not been interested in since the Charlton Heston movies. And I actually have seen the previous Planet of the Apes movies, but they've not really caught my eye or caught my attention. But this film really has garnered my attention. I really am, for the first time in a long time, really interested in the Planet of the Apes universe, and I'm really excited to see where that franchise is going to go. So I am picking that as a dark horse. The first two films, as far as the Planet of the Apes movies, have really performed very
They
strong.
were surprisingly good. I completely agree with you.
So, and I'm not going to try and throw shade on them at all. I think they've really done well. And I think at this point in time, people might not be expecting it, but I think it really will perform where it sits at in the queue as far as movies, the movie schedule is concerned. I think it's very nice. I think they made a nice niche for themselves there. And I really think that given a couple breaks, it could really, it could make $1 billion at the box office. Would I be surprised if it doesn't? No, not at all. I think 6, 7, 800, I think is what most people will be targeting for it. But you never know. With some strong word of mouth, it could really do even beyond that. So that's my dark horse. What is everybody else's dark horse? And also big pick for the biggest movie of the year in 2017. Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com or popculturecosmo or Humanican Media on Facebook or Twitter. Well, it's been a great episode here today. We want to thank everyone that's been a part of it. Echo Box, it was great with us at CES 2017, and then also as well the Wine Women Awards. Check out their show. Played a nice little sample of their show as well. And then also a great big thank you to the Wrestling Podcast About Nothing, Mike Crockett and the Kingpin Brian Malonis for stopping by and taking the time. They had a lot of interview requests that they had to take care of that day that they were able to tape with us. So we truly appreciate them taking the time to talk truly appreciate taking the time to talk to us today. It was just very kind of them to do so, and just awesome. And hopefully we'll be able to talk to them sometime going forward, and hopefully want to also be able to get some kind of resolution and wrap up for you as well on WrestleMania after it happens. So it's been another great episode indeed. Josh, any final thoughts on what you're doing, what you're up to, what to look out for, or what you're interested in coming up as far as either for pop culture, Humanican Comedian, or whatever else?
Yeah, I mean, it's just been super busy lately because there's some big things coming up here around April 10th. So we'll have an announcement for you, possibly on one of the new podcasts we're working on. So we will have plenty of content coming up. Just stay tuned, and thanks for your patience.
Indeed, we do. Thanks for everyone out there for following us on Humanican Media and also Pop Culture Cosmos as well. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening, and here's hoping you have yourself a great day.